And hello. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast. It is the Premier League show this week. We had non-league last night. We've got women's football tomorrow. We've got lower league on Thursday. It's all going on. But today we're going to talk, well, not just Premier League, the FA Cup. The FA Cup and a particular team winning the FA Cup, I'm sure is going to get a mention or two throughout the podcast. Sorry, Graham, in advance, but it will be. But of course, it's not just me. I have to have some wonderful people to talk football with. I'm back from her holidays on the return. She's been sailing around the world. Rebecca, how are you? Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be back. Happy to be talking everything football with an extended Scottish Prem roundup, which I hope you're all ready for.
Rebecca's ready. I think she's been writing this roundup for the whole of her holiday. She's so prepared, ready to give us the big ones. And of course, we've got special guests with us tonight. First time on the pod. Very excited to have him on. Welcome to Wes as well. Tottenham Hotspur fans. You can imagine what we're going to be talking about later. But welcome to the pod. How are you doing?
Yeah, the nerves have well and truly kicked in ahead of tomorrow. But yeah, excited to be on. Obviously making my debut. So yeah, not just a Spurs fan, just a fan of majority of football as well. So yeah, most topics I should be well versed in. Maybe not so much the Scottish stuff as Rebecca. Obviously, we've seen the notes before we came live, so that is dedication to the craft. But no, I'm very much looking forward to this tonight. Absolutely.
Perfect. Don't worry, Rebecca's our sports expert, so she's got everything absolutely covered for us. Don't worry about it at all. It's not just us as well. We've got some fantastic people in the chat. If you're new to the show tonight, you can join in the live chat, and we'll chat with you as we go through. So Graham, of course, always with us. Good evening all. Hope everyone is good. Not happy with the thumbnail. I know, Graham. I know, it's okay. Charlton have got a big day to come, so just look forward to that. Welcome to Evo Blogs. Evening to you. Sean is here as well. Evening to you. Johnny is here with us. Simon is here with us. Stephen as well is here, getting in early with their Europa League support. And there we go. And everybody else is in. Everyone said hello to each other in the chat as well. Isn't that lovely? Now, what was lovely, or was lovely for most of us, shall we say, was the FA Cup final this weekend. Crystal Palace taking on Manchester City, who are both in action in the Premier League at the moment. So we'll bring you those scores in a minute. But we'll kick off with the FA Cup. Crystal Palace, Rebecca, winning their first major trophy ever. Quite a long wait. I think if you watch the first Crystal Palace game, you'd be something like 125 or something, and you'd have had to watch it as a pretty young child. So, wow, what a wait for a victory. And how does that make you feel as a team like Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup over the mighty Manchester City?
I think we're going to have to put the apologies to Graham out for this whole section, or just tell him to just come back later, because I feel like for this bit, huge congratulations to Palace. I mean, to see someone else winning a cup is just incredible, and for them to do it for the first time as well, it is great. And with this season, nothing has been written. You couldn't write any of it. We've had a different team winning the league, Carabao Cup, FA Cup. It's all it's different and it's good. I mean, fair play to Palace. They did what they could. I can't remember that. They did what they had to, and what they did well. I mean, Eberechi, I think I've spoken about him a few times on the score sheet. That's just incredible. He is a standout for Palace. Keeping him fit, he is an incredibly talented player. There was the argument whether Dean Henderson should have been sent off or not. Does he handle it outside the box? I think he does, but I mean, VAR's there, didn't work, so he stayed on, and an incredible penalty save came from it. So, I mean, fair play. I am still confused as to why Haaland didn't take the penalty, to say he stood there and kissed the ball and then just didn't take it. I'm still unsure as to why, but that's City for you. I don't think they can, it just hasn't gone to plan for them this season at all. And I think that just that one penalty summed it up of they don't know what they're doing at the minute, and that just seems to be clear throughout the season. And to say like this is the first time in, is it like over 10 years that Pep Guardiola's not won a trophy? It's madness. But yeah, they did have a few chances, but Palace, I mean, Dean Henderson, the saves he was pulling off, again, whether he should have been on the pitches, it is what it is. But I don't know if any of you have seen the video of him afterwards singing his new favourite song.
If you can't celebrate with a song, an FA Cup final victory, when can you celebrate with a song? This is exactly it. As you said, Rebecca, Dean Henderson was on fire. Of course, that incident with the red card, yes, was outside the box. They said he was going away from goal. And you're kind of like, well, it was once he punched it. That definitely changed the trajectory of the ball. But he had an absolutely fantastic game. Sean says he was a very, very lucky boy. And Johnny says super hendo in the nets. He certainly was. So, Wes, how do you find, say, Crystal Palace getting to the final? Oliver Glasner was kind of talking afterwards and felt like, you know, they'd kind of had this run and the confidence within the dressing room and the way that he spoke afterwards, they felt that they really did it. For you, Crystal Palace fully deserving a victory, and only one goal conceded as well throughout the whole FA Cup.
Yeah, I think it's a notorious thing with the Glasner side that they get stronger as the season's gone on. I think we saw that towards the back end of last year. I know he sort of came in halfway through the season, but Palace had a really strong end to the season. And I think, again, when he was at Frankfurt, notoriously slow starters, but then once they clicked and got themselves into gear, again, finished really strong. I thought City were terrible. They missed, it's easy to say they missed Rodri, but I also think not just him personally, but I think that profile of midfielder, that like more defensive-minded midfield player. Because yes, Palace sat back and defended the width of their box in a low block, but it was when they sprung out and went to counter, they looked really dangerous, and you just felt like there was nobody in that City midfield to just have that sixth sense and, you know, sense danger and almost put out the fires and stop the counter attacks and, you know, make those little tactical fouls that, you know, Fernandinho was notorious for doing and would always apologise with a smile. And then on his 9th foul, would then get a talking to. So, yeah, I thought Palace were brilliant. Munoz was superb as well, up and down that right-hand side for Palace. I thought the defence, Gueye, Lacroix, again, absolutely brilliant. Adam Wharton, anybody that knows me knows I am a huge Adam Wharton fan. Was literally begging Spurs to sign him last January. And he looks an absolute bargain at 18 million coming out of Blackburn. And I think he will be an England regular for me. And if he's not, then I think there's got to be some questions asked, because we always want to produce players like Adam Wharton. And we always moan that we don't produce players like Adam Wharton. We've got one now. Let's look after him a little bit, and let's give him, you know, the recognition and, you know, the plaudits that he deserves, and the recognition with England as well, like internationally. Because again, I thought he's brilliant. And, you know, as Rebecca said, Eze, the difference maker. How many times we said that for Palace, you know, over the years since he's been there. And I think he's really taken on that like main man mantra from the fact that Zaha's gone, Elise's gone. He could have easily stunk up the place this season and gone like, look, I've seen my mates move, you know, when's my time to move? Obviously his move didn't come in the summer, and yeah, he had a slow start, but again has really come to the fore at the end of the season. But no, for me, Palace on the day were brilliant, but it was just really poor from City, like on the ball, just terrible. And like I said, I think their biggest thing was, when I was watching the game, was they needed to get either Rodri or Nico Gonzalez on the pitch. I don't know if Nico Gonzalez was injured, but they just needed somebody in there just to have that sixth sense and be like, right, I'm going to snuff out that danger, stop the counter attack, like stop Munoz from really progressing, you know, up the pitch in the way that he did. And I think that's what killed City, because also when you saw them attacking and they were in and around Palace's box, they didn't really have anybody just to pop it back to and switch quickly. Which is a big feature of City's play, like in and around the penalty box. They will get it to one player who will then switch it, isolate their winger 1v1 with the opposition fullback, and then, you know, get some crosses in. So yeah, like I say, I think for me, City poor, but take nothing away from Palace. They were excellent.
Yeah, it was a sensational victory. And I think probably it was kind of framed a little bit because of the Premier League game between the two not that long ago. Of course, Palace went down 5-2, but had a really good start against Manchester City and then got on top. I saw some interesting comments, I think, from Glasner, who had sort of said to Pep afterwards and said, if you do that again when we come up next time, I'm going to work it out and I'm going to stop you, which I love that. I love that sort of bit of kind of, I'm a tactical clever genius and you're going to find out. And you're going to find out on the biggest stage of it all. Graham, however, not happy, of course. He hopes Haaland's hair falls out, that Pep's jumper gives him the itch. And he hopes their blue moon gets covered with a permanent eclipse. But he's not bitter. He's not bitter at all. So yeah, touching on what you said there was that you've got sort of the fantastic Munoz going down the right hand side. They played it absolutely perfectly the way that they needed to play it. Did you think on Pep's side of things with the four, you mentioned about sort of not having that midfielder, was it another case of Pep in a final? Because there's always been a bit of criticism, maybe overthinking stuff. Is it another case of that?
Potentially. I think he's gone in there to try and obviously dominate the ball and almost overcrowd the central area. And I think obviously he tried to do that in the Champions League final against Chelsea and it backfired massively. Because Chelsea, I think the main difference was Chelsea had a lot of energy in their midfield, so they could almost outrun City. Whereas I don't think Palace have got that engine in the midfield. They've got, like I say, Wharton, fantastic technician, unbelievable passer of the ball. Lerma didn't play, who's got a lot of energy. Czech Decore didn't play, who's got a lot of energy. So, it was just one of those. I think Pep's tried to overcrowd that middle and just be like, right, we're going to just pop it round you and see what happens there. And it almost then became a little bit more chess-like, and I think that suited Palace because, as I mentioned earlier, they sat in that really low block. They went, right, have the ball in front and down the sides, but we're really going to let you play in between us. And I think the way Glasner just set them up, it was a really good tactical performance, I think, from Glasner in the sense of, how many times do we see a team like Atletico Madrid really dogged, low block, but know when to bounce out and when to press at the right moment? I think Palace did that really, really well. But yeah, I think Pep has probably got it right. I was looking at the wingers and I'm like, they couldn't isolate. Like Savinho wanted to try and come inside all the time, and I'm like, mate, if you're going to do that, you haven't got the fullback to go down the outside, because we went with Akanji and then Nico O'Reilly. We know Pep likes to have one that kind of comes into the middle of the pitch, but I don't think City really needed it. They almost needed Walker and Benjamin Mendy going down the outside, so you create those 2v1s in the wide areas and then get your crosses in that way. But yeah, Akanji was awful, didn't want to cross the ball when he got in the sort of half space and around the edge of the box, and there was plenty of times which he could have done that, like just throw one in there. I know, if you're putting it up in the air, it's probably food and drink for the back three of Palace. Gay, Lacroix, Richard, all good headers of the ball, can attack it really well, so maybe just put one in low crosses cause chaos. I was actually speaking with an academy coach about this recently, and it was like, yeah, we want low crosses in because it just causes chaos in the box. Like someone swings a leg at it, could go anywhere, or if it gets blocked, it then might fall out to somebody else who can then hit it with a first time finish. But yeah, to kind of answer your question, I think Pep approached it. I wouldn't say approached it wrong, but he could have changed it a lot quicker for me than what he actually did, because like I could see it and I'm like, 150, 200 miles away, say in Milton Keynes. Like if I can see it on the TV, I'm sure Pep, who's, won everything that there is to win in the game, can surely see that the game needs changing. You feel it sometimes when you're watching a game. Like, yeah, we've got to change it. We've got to do something different. And I think he just sort of sat there and kind of almost said to the players, like, look, you go and figure this out. But City just didn't have the quality on the day to really get anything really for me.
No, they didn't, and say that the missed penalty then became probably their biggest chance, or as well as a couple of saves, to be fair, that Henderson made. But strange one, Rebecca. Also, we'll come back to you because you mentioned it before about Haaland kissing the ball and then giving it over to Mush. I mean, I don't think that counts as an assist had he had scored. That would have been a cheeky way to get some FPL points if it was the Premier League. But yeah, Haaland not taking the penalty, and then Marmoush, I saw some stats today. He's pretty consistent in that corner, not just from penalties, but also in terms of a lot of his shots this season have kind of gone down there. Dean Henderson's got playoff previous at Wembley as well, I think, way back on one of his loan moves. I think he saved in a playoff final as well. So got the job done. What did you take from sort of that penalty save? Do you think that was the real kind of turning point, and that all of a sudden that really gave belief to Palace and the fans that this is our day?
Yeah, because like the 1-0 up, you're thinking, right, we've seen what City can do over the seasons. We've seen what they can do this season. We were there for the Palace and City match when Palace took the lead and then City came back. And I think that was like one of them where you're thinking, right, could this happen again? So to be able for Dean Henderson to save the penalty, that was the point where Palace are like, right, we're settled in this match. We've got 1-0 lead. You're always going to be a bit like, oh, God, here we go. But they were settled with that 1-0. And it was one of them, that penalty save changed the match, because 1-1, it could have gone either way. I mean, it still could at 1-0, but you just knew that the Reds in it, like, they're going to go for it. And I think it was just like the lift that they needed as well. Because it's like you see the celebrations after a penalty save, it's like that's what the team needs at times, just to like resettle them, get them back in, but then also boost them at the same time and be like, right, he can do that, we can go and win this sort of thing.
Yeah, it was a big moment. Big in terms of the celebration. Big for everybody. Everybody in the stands. Graham said the downfall of Grealish and Foden needs to be studied as well. Also, drop off this season massively. It's Foden was player of the season last season, and we've not seen anything like that times this season. And Fordiolo, he's given the name. Hellos as a Jordan has joined us as well. Thank you for joining us this evening too. So from I want to get your perspective, Rebecca, from being an Everton fan. And obviously seeing a team like Crystal Palace win the FA Cup, no disrespect to Crystal Palace, but no major trophies, as we said, in their entire history, to then go in to do it, that's the kind of thing surely that inspires you and thinks, with Moyes boys back in the Premier League, can they now do it in the FA Cup in the future? Does it give you hope for seasons to come?
Yeah, it massively does. I mean, we'll get into Everton later on, but it's one of them where when you've listened to what David Moyes has had to said over the weekend as well, it just shows that he said he came to a broken club and now he's got the club to where he needs it to be, but we can go further. It's like this season, him coming in, he did what he had to. It weren't much of a relegation battle with the three teams that have been relegated, but it was like coming into it, he knew what he had to do, got the points that we needed, and now it's looking to next season. And he's already said, and I think all of the players have said, that Everton are at the point now where we've got a solid team. We've got the manager that we need, who is Everton through and through. He is an Everton manager. Yeah, he's been other places, but we all know that David Moyes is Everton. So it's like to then have him and have the hope and the belief, and to be able to see teams like Palace do it, it does just back up what every player and Moyes has said this weekend, that we can go out and do it and we can start fighting higher up in the table.
This is it. It's given hope to everybody. Nick, welcome to the chat as well. Tell us Dean Henderson's last Wembley penalty save. It was when he was at loan at Shrewsbury. Yep, years ago. Fantastic. And Simon says, I feel like this season is why Pep has never stopped anywhere else this long. People figure him out and he doesn't know how to change things. I mean, that's a real question and conundrum he's certainly got coming up for next season. And that we'll see that play out, I'm sure, as that happens next season. But a question back to you, Wes, on the Crystal Palace and where they go from here. I mean, obviously, not just the FA Cup. It means European football. It means Europa League. Europa League can bring glory. What can it mean for Crystal Palace now going forward? What did they need to do? Can they keep the squad together? What's the next stage for this Palace team? Do they kick on or?
Well, listen, I just want to see some of the, some big European teams down Croydon on a Thursday night, because they are going to get the shock of their life hitting up South London, let me tell you. But no, I think in terms of what this does for Palace now, it's huge. It is massive, because there was probably talking of the summer of Gay potentially going, Eze going. I know he's been linked with Tottenham for the last however long. And I think obviously Gay's had his suitors. Obviously Newcastle came in with big bids for him last year. I know Tottenham have liked him as well. Whereas, because I think with Palace, you kind of go, where they're going to finish, 12th, right? And it's like, we go again next year. We've stayed up. We're happy. We're in the Prem. We're getting the Prem money. Yeah, happy days. Now they've got Europe, and it's like, right, okay, lads, by the way, we got Europe, so you don't need to potentially seek another move to get that European football, you've got it here. So I think that is a huge plus in itself. I think it'll allow them to obviously attract that better caliber of player. I think we've seen that in the summer with the likes of Lacroix and Kamada coming in. I think obviously two players that Glasner knows well from his time in Germany, etc. I think it depends obviously on recruitment. I think it's going to be huge. I think Palace don't necessarily need to go out and spend a lot on their first 11. I think they just need to just beef out the squad. So adding in, some decent squad players, because that Thursday, Sunday transition can be challenging and can be quite taxing on players. As Spurs have found out this year, and then some. And I think obviously if you do get a few injuries, it's going to kill you. So I think some squad players for me is what I'd be looking at for Palace to target in the summer. I don't think they've got too many out of contract either, which will be a big plus, I think, for them. So I think that's probably where they'll likely, or their next moves will likely go. But I think if they get drawn against Galatasaray in the league phase, that's going to start World War III, I think, because the ultras are going to be bang at it from both sides, I think.
Yeah, this is it. Waiting for the opportunity. And it's interesting, I think, with Crystal Palace and this sort of foray now, which will be into Europe and as a team, because probably say that a real young generation. It's 13 years now, I think, in the Premier League they've been, as you sort of said, was that 10th to 15th has been there and they're there. That's where they sit, and they've been an established Premier League club for a long time, but it wasn't always the case. And a number of years ago, I think they were administration, weren't they, on the verge of going out the Championship? So to suddenly to sort of in there, it's interesting to see. And you saw it in the emotion in the crowd. How many did you see of those kind of older generations who'd never seen anything from their club? And I think that was sort of something special to really enjoy.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's the beauty of, I guess, winning a trophy. Like, it gives you that moment of like euphoria and that sense of like, I've seen my team do something special. And I think that's going to live like those Palace fans have now got like lifelong memories, whether they remember most of the game or not, or the aftermath of it or whatever. But they've got that memory of like, I've seen my team win a trophy, and I've seen it at, the home of football, which is Wembley. Like, every player that you speak to wants to play at Wembley. It's just one of those where it's just that taste and that feeling of like, oh my God, I've just seen it. And it's like, we're in Europe next year, and it's like, well, we can do this now. We got this happening. So I think the knock-on effect from it is huge. And I think one game away from near enough pretty much going extinct if they didn't beat Sheffield Wednesday in a game in the Championship all those years ago. And the Palace fans protesting outside Lloyd's Bank and stuff like that. I've seen a good documentary on Palace, and if anybody hasn't watched it, I strongly advise that you do. And then especially now, like in this sort of period, I definitely reckon, because then you'll understand the kind of hardship that the Palace players and the fans have gone through just to get that moment. And it's the FA Cup, and it has probably lost its glamour and everything else. But listen, to those Palace fans, they don't care. They've won a major trophy, and they are going to be absolutely buzzing off the back of it. So
100%, and then there's no hangover at the minute because they're 2-1 up currently at Wolves. So I think a bit of a changed team, but they're definitely riding that wave in. And Manchester City are 2-0 up against Bournemouth as well. We'll come on to the European stuff very soon. Just the last bit, I think, on Pastel. The one bit that I think I found the chink in Glasner's armour almost came a cropper before the final. I saw that in there. Apparently, he has a famous, and it's a superstition, a post-match. Is it a bagel or a post-match? He has like a pretzel or something or other. There's some sort of after a press conference, he gets a special little sort of cake or something.
Doesn't he have a lucky jumper as well?
That's it. I think that too. And they said apparently there wasn't at the end of the press conference. It wasn't there, whatever this pastry or whatever it was that he liked. So, but they went to the cafeteria and got it. And I think there was a panic that this could have set the whole FA Cup final off on the wrong kind of thing if the pastry wasn't available. So, as a podcast that loves food and football mixed together, very important to get the pastry and get that. Yeah. Absolute classic. So there we are, Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup. Fantastic. But we'll go on to the Premier League, because there was Premier League going on this weekend, and there's plenty going on. And for Everton and for Rebecca, it was a very emotional weekend. Goodison Park. And we will say, obviously, so our women football fans as well, Goodison Park is carrying on. The women's team will play there for Everton. However, for the men's team, this was the final game. They played Southampton, who I'm sure put up a tremendous challenge, as they have done all season. However, Rebecca, tell us all about the end of Goodison Park and what the emotions were the final time this weekend for the men's team.
Yeah, I lost count of the amount of times I nearly cried or did cry. I think it was just one of them days where for everyone that is connected with Everton, it was such a special day, and we all knew how emotional it was going to be. Like, the news about the women's team playing at Goodison is absolutely incredible, and to be able to see Goodison carry on for the future, and because we did all have the fear of, well, what happens if it does get knocked down, because that is where it was heading until it was announced. So that is really good. There are going to be like changes to the ground that have to be made, because if you've ever been to Goodison, you know the uniqueness of this ground, to the point where we still have wooden seats and wooden flooring in the Bullens Road. Top balcony, I think that will be going as well. So fans won't have to walk up 110 steps to get to their seat. Yes, I know that, because me and my dad became extremely superstitious one season, and the escalators weren't working. So we walked up all of the steps. We then went on to win, so we have to keep on doing it. But no, Goodison got the send off that it deserved. The grand old lady singing for one last time. It was just, I still get goosebumps even thinking about it. The coach welcome before the match. I think fans were there from about 9 o'clock, and kickoff was 12:30. It was incredible. No one does it like Everton. We're a bunch of nutters, and I think that's the best way to describe Everton fans. No one does it like us. I mean, this is us when we've nearly been relegated. We've been playing horrendously at times. And could you imagine if we were good and we actually went on to win something? If this is the fans when we're rubbish, imagine what it's going to be like when we're flying up that table. I cannot wait. But no, it was emotional. And then to see the team sheet come out and Seamus Coleman was going to lead the team out for one last time at Goodison. Coleman is the definition of Everton. He knows what the club means to every fan, and he's just incredible, is Coleman. I think there have been talks of him potentially retiring, but David Moyes did say in his press conference that he's not going anywhere. Coleman will be around the club doing something, whether that is playing or whether he is just going to move into the coaching staff with Leighton Baines. But Coleman isn't ever going to leave Everton. So for him to be able to lead the team out one last time, it was gutting that he did get injured quite early on in the match, so he couldn't see out as much as he wanted to, but it was really nice. And then Pickford was captain for the remainder of the match, and Pickford's, I don't even know how to describe him at this point. He pulls off a save and then just smiles at the camera and sticks his tongue out. It was just really random of him, but we're used to him now. Illiman and Dye, what a player he is. He's made history being the last goal scorer at Goodison. It was amazing. He has been such an incredible player for us this season. We've missed him when he's been injured. He has been, I would say, one of our star signings, and he's a very talented one. And to be able to, I've seen him play a few times at Goodison, so to be able to say that is really good. Doucouré has announced that he is leaving Everton, which is heartbreaking because we will miss the shithousery of him. I mean, I think we all remember him at the Merseyside derby, still as many laps as he could do even after being sent off. But no, it was he got his goodbye as well, which was really nice. But it was one of them, we didn't know whether he was just waving goodbye to the fans or whether he was waving goodbye to the ground, but it turns out it was both. So yeah, the match was it was highly dominated by us. Southampton did have a few spells, but that was like really late on in the match. We just sat back. We weren't really pressing that high up. Like, they did challenge Pickford a few times, but Pickford did what Pickford does, pulling off saves when he needs to. And yeah, it was really nice. And then we had all of the Everton legends there as well. So players from like when we were winning trophies, which quite a while ago. But yeah, we had the likes of Peter Reid, Graham Sharp, and then Tom Davis was there as well. That was from like the newer era of Everton. Umar Niasse as well.
Got a +1 maybe.
Yeah, we had Umar Niasse doing a lap of honour as well. Everton legend. Neville Southall, there were loads, and it was just really nice that everyone had their moment to say goodbye to Goodison, and there was like a big thing put on at the end. So all of the legends were having interviews, sharing their like Goodison memories. And then Duncan Ferguson really enjoyed saying that his favourite goal was when he scored against United, but he always has to specify that it was when they were good. Every other sentence, whenever he'd mention it, it was always when they were good.
When they were good, because Wayne Rooney was there as well, wasn't he? So he must have been, must have jiving him as well.
Yeah, because Everton fans started doing a chant about United with a few swear words in it. And then Wayne Rooney stands there and goes, "You do know I'm a Scouser." And then everyone just starts going, "Rooney, Rooney," like that at him. But yeah, it was an emotional day, but Goodison got the send-off that it deserves. And now hopefully it's exciting times ahead at the new ground. Because they are currently making changes to that to make it feel more like home for Everton fans, because I think that was one of the main things from the test events that like the feedback is it just didn't feel right. Like, we know it's still, they're only test events, but there was nothing that screamed Everton at you. So it's one of them where that's currently going through like some changes, we think, and hopefully we can get Bramley. I'm going to refer to it as Bramley Moore and Everton Stadium. I will not be using the new name that has been given.
The Hill Dickinson, whatever it was. My only thought is that they can't, maybe it's because they had issues with sponsorship already if Coleman's still going to be there, because otherwise it'd be Bramley, Coleman's Bramley, and then it would be an apple sauce, wouldn't it? That would be so they went down Hill Dickinson instead. But I did hear that they might call it, you might try and sort of get away with calling it the Hill Dixie after Dixie Dean and that kind of legendary as a way to, but for me, the Bramley Moore Stadium, that sounds pretty cool anyway. Bramley Moore Dock, I think, was quite a cool name for it. But have your say, Rebecca. You're there next. Just get them to change it.
No, I mean, like, the sponsors put the money in. If it keeps the ground and everything going, then fair play. But could we not, like, we have the mick taken out of us every week for random stuff. Like, you're just giving Liverpool more ammunition here to find somewhere else to just make a chant at or just add something else. So it's like, just one of them, isn't it? I mean, calling it the Dixie Stadium would be really good. Like, I think that's one thing Everton fans will hopefully try and do. But I do feel as though we're just going to end up referring to it as Bramley Moore Dock or Everton Stadium, because Hill Dickinson just doesn't roll off the tongue like Goodison Park every day. Like, it just doesn't work.
It's not got the same, is it? It's I get it, and they're Liverpool based, aren't they? I think originally, and I get it, as you said, like that. It's what it is, and I think you're a bit of luck of what the sponsor seems to be, because there are some that I think suit it quite. And I remember like the Reebok Stadium used to sound quite cool back in the day, or like for Bolton, and you get one that might kind of work, and then you might get one that doesn't quite. You know, you'd be like, you might just having to be sponsored by Jelly Babies or something. You just can't. There's some names that just don't go with football stadiums, unfortunately. But a whole new set of excitement. And the 13th, Rebecca, when did that happen? You just absolutely shot up the table, absolutely bonkers after the start that it's had. And you said Decore's left, which is very sad. Did he get the goal, if I remember, to keep you up against Bournemouth? Was that Decore?
Yeah, it was. I was there for that match as well, because we were relegated at half-time for that one, because I think Leicester were winning at the time. So all Everton fans are stood there, like, notifications trying to come through on phones, but there is no signal at Goodison at all. So we're all there like trying to find out the scores, and then Doucouré went and put an absolute rocket in back at net, and you could feel the top balcony shake. And I think that is going to be one of the main things I miss about Goodison. As scary as it sounds, the whole of top balcony would shake with the fans celebrating, and it is just going to be like that iconic bit of Goodison is just. But it's also like the pillars. We're not going to have to look round pillars anymore, which is just going to be really random. Like we're not going to have to sit there going like this for a whole 90 minutes. It's a unique crowd.
The next strength in Everton is just going to plummet now because there'll be no training going on. It'll be it'll be shocking. But I think so. We'll go to the chat for a little bit because Ali said he went to Goodison once. That was a 2-1 win against Arsenal, which included a last minute. Well, that wasn't the Rooney one, was it? The famous Rooney last minute against Arsenal all those years ago. Simon says Jordan Pickford does what it says on the tin, and also I think we've had a bit of always important, and we must always put it up. There's been some pastry chat in the in the oven. Ali's a fan of a good Danish pastry. My favourite is the stewed apple one with white drizzled icing. So there you go. So that's a quality pastry, having come straight from Twitter on a biscuit tier list. So I hope you had your tea, Alid, because otherwise you are going to be snacking all evening on that kind of trajectory. Wes, what do you make of this kind of turnaround from Everton this season? David Moyes coming in, they're sort of on the up, and they were a club in real trouble, and now the takeover, new stadium, new manager, new bounce. Where are you at with kind of Everton in the future?
Well, it's not a great thing for Spurs if Everton can have half a season off and still finish above us.
I think either of you two can catch us now mathematically as well with Darwin against Southampton. Not to rub it in much, but
it's gone. Rebecca.
So obviously Everton have had half a season off. Wolves have had half a season off. West Ham have pretty much had the full season off, and all three of them are still finishing above us. So, really, really positive on that one, to be fair. But no, I think obviously with the new takeover coming in, that should give Everton fans a bit of hope, as long as the new owners don't waste money like Mashiri did, because I think that tenure was probably one of the worst from a football point of view that I think any football fan has seen. It was $500 million, and it's like you're even worse than before he turned up. So that was baffling. But I think it feels a lot of positive vibes around Everton at the moment. I also said as well when Moyes came back, it was probably the shrewdest thing Everton could have done was getting him back. Proper safe pair of hands. You know what you're going to get. Going to set a team up to be defensively solid and then build from there. And I think that's what Everton were defensively relatively all right under Dyche. It was just going the other way. Couldn't score goals. It was like Beto looked like he didn't know his left foot from his right foot, and now all of a sudden he's the second coming of R9. Calvert-Lewin has always had injury issues, but it felt like Moyes was probably the one that could potentially get a tune out of him, but obviously he's been injured again. I think he's just found a real balance within the Everton side and kind of went, right, defensive third, nothing stupid, middle third, just kind of be a bit safe with it, but get into the final third and just go and express yourselves, lads. Whereas it felt like under Dyche, the handbrake was still on as Everton approached that final third. And I mean, when Everton came to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium earlier on this season, and I turned to my dad and I said, that is the worst team I've seen at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Because Everton just offered absolutely nothing. And I've seen us play against like lower league opposition, and they've put up more of a fight than Everton. So that kind of says it all in itself, really. I just think Everton now in the Premier League, going into that new stadium with a manager that knows and understands the club, understands the fans, what they like, what they don't like. I think it'll be a good time. I think now to be an Everton fan. I'm not saying that they're going to get Europe, anytime soon or anything else, but I think Everton fans will be more patient with Moyes because they know what they're going to get. They know that they're going to almost have their Everton back in the sense of what Everton was known for, which was, get the crowd up, get balls into the box, get the crowd on side straight away. It's going to be a difficult place to go. And all of that kind of stuff. And I feel like that's going to come back to Everton. And I do feel like they will, in the next couple of seasons, be hitting top 10 for me, like without a shadow of a doubt. And then maybe pushing Europe. Obviously, you've seen the job that Moyes done at West Ham. And yes, it got stale towards the end of Moyes' reign at West Ham, and it probably felt like they needed to change and go in a different direction. But look at West Ham this year; they've spent an absolute fortune and have got absolutely nothing to show for it. So, I think that's probably my assessment of Everton. And I will miss Goodison. It's a cracking ground. I went there, unfortunately, Rebecca, when we won 6-2 a couple of days before Christmas. Personal highlight was singing "You Should Have Gone Christmas Shopping" when the fourth one went in. That was brilliant. And then bumping into an Everton fan on the Mersey rail, who literally did go Christmas shopping, and sorted his kids' Christmas out in Argos, as he had 2 massive Argos bags. So it's a proper old school ground. It's a traditional ground. I think it's going to be missed by football fans, but from an Everton point of view, what an exciting time to be going into a new stadium, a new era, but in a stable way, I think, as well.
Certainly is. It's a different time, isn't it, coming up? And we'll see where it's going to lead. I think, as you said, David Moyes has been the right appointment. Rebecca's very pleased to have David Moyes over Dyche, aren't you, Rebecca? Wouldn't change it? Wouldn't go back and do something different?
Never. I mean, as I've said, fair play to Dyche. He did what he had to. He kept us up, even with a 10-point deduction, which then became 8, and then we got another 3 or whatever it was. For him to be able to do that and keep us up as well as he did, I mean, like, fair play, but it did just come to the point where we needed to make the change. Otherwise, we would have been having another season of sitting, not knowing what we were doing in terms of, could this be a season that we get relegated? And it has been quite scary over the past few seasons, but no, I mean, bringing Moyes in, having, like you've said, the stability, and also, like, financially, we've now got that backing as well, which in recent years with, like, FFP, PSR, them 3 letters will just haunt me forever. But it's one of them where it's like now not having as much of a fear with that. I feel like every Everton fan is always going to have that bit of a fear because of what we've seen over the past years in terms of, like, what we've been through. But it's like now to have the financial stability and actually be able to get excited heading into a season and not thinking, oh God, here we go again. It's like we can actually be like, right, Bramley Moore Dock, new era of Everton, Moyes back, a solid team, and the fact that he actually plays players that Dyche wouldn't. I mean, like Jake O'Brien, I'm still wanting to know why he wouldn't be played, because he has become, like, his partnership with Jared is incredible. And I do feel like we have hit it lucky in the fact we have 2 6'5" units of a centre back with them two, and like that partnership. But it's one of them. It's like they just work, and it baffles me, some of the, like, decisions that he made towards the end, especially. But no, that the Dyche era has been and gone, and I've, like, had my many rants this season on the podcast, so it's actually quite happy to sit here with a smile on my face and be like, we've got Moyes.
You've got David Moyes, and as you said with PSR, even more shocking today, Rebecca, that there were some punishments, or some, should we say, some deferred punishments to the EFL for Leicester City and not Everton. As soon as it came out, I was like, what now? Rebecca's just, there's positivity, and Everton are back. No, it wasn't Everton.
Everton still got deducted 10 points for that, by the way.
Exactly, yeah. You should have done better. Come on. It's been a rough one.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Leicester and their points. Like, is it because there's talks of it being for the Championship season, but then with this now being the Premier League investigating it, it could then be when they're next promoted, they start with the points deduction from the Prem. So that'll be interesting to actually see. But it's also quite funny because Leicester were one of the teams that were trying to sue us because of the season with our, like, points deduction and everything like that. They were one of the teams that got relegated that season, and we stayed up. So they were trying to sue us for, I think, like, the season that they're now being done for, near enough.
That is incredible banter, by the way. That is incredible banter.
That is quality to have to throw back at them. You just return the letter. Just return and just be like, there you go. Yeah, I think we're all right now. I think we're fine.
It has to be a points deduction for him in the Championship. They didn't get that many in the Prem, so it's pointless. They were going down anyway. So
exactly. The only people who might have been interested was Southampton if they were still below that Derby record, thinking, oh, hang on a minute, we might be all right. We might survive.
That would have been interesting, 100%.
Simon's happy. Hopefully they get points deduction in the Championship as a Coventry fan. He's seeing them as rivals next year, so he's hoping. So I saw some Saints fans today were thinking exactly the same thing, thinking ban them straight off. But there we go. It's goodbye to Goodison Park for the Premier League at least. For now, but we're going to move on to what's going on in the European fight, because it's pretty crazy. A lot of the Premier League has been wrapped up this year. The title's been a walkover. The bottom three's been a waste of time, if we're honest, in terms of competition, which for me and Wes has been a good thing, because otherwise this could have been a very shaky end of the season. We'll flash at the table for now to have a look. Now, obviously, we've got at the moment Manchester City are 2-0 up. So they'll take a jump up the table there a little bit. And we've also got Crystal Palace winning 2-1 at Wolves. But you can just see there how tight it is between Newcastle all the way down to Nottingham Forest, who've shot down to 7th. However, it's all still very much in everybody else's hands. And it's a crazy way to kind of end the season fighting for those Champions League places, which obviously go to 5th. So, I mean, Wes, we'll start with obviously the Tottenham game. Tottenham were at Aston Villa. I think Friday night went as everybody expected. Both Man United and Tottenham playing together as it did the previous weekend. What did you think of Aston Villa and their European credentials off the back of that performance?
Yeah, I think as just from a Spurs perspective, listen, no one cared. Like genuinely no one. Like I had a friend of mine from uni who was trying to give me stick all day, and I'm like, mate, I genuinely could not care less about a Premier League game. Like, no, just save our play. Like, if put it this way, if Spurs had put out their under 18s, everybody would have gone cracking decision. Fair play, Ange. Like, well done, you. Rest all the players for the Europa League final. But I think in terms of Villa this year, I've been really, really impressed with them. I think Unai Emery has proved that he is a very, very good manager and a very good coach. Tactically spot on. Usually gets a lot of things right. And I just think his teams play with good balance. Like, and you know, you might have your fullbacks going and bombing forward, but they've always got a little bit of defensive security behind them, whether that's with the two sort of sitting midfielders. I like what he's almost done to John McGinn in the sense of, you know, when he first signed at Villa, he was probably a bit more of a box-to-box type of midfielder. He's now got him just sort of coming in off that right-hand side and almost operating a bit more as a 10. The development, obviously, of Morgan Rogers has been superb. Tielemans has been an astounding bit of business, by the way. How have we managed to get him on a free? But I think their January business was really good. I know it was kind of dubbed the sort of failed FM Wonder Kids transfer window. But again, just players with quality that are coming into the door. And all of a sudden, those that are in the building go, I've got to up my game here, because Marco Asensio, who's won the Champions League, just walked through the door. Or, you know, Marcus Rashford, who's been an England player previously and has, you know, won stuff at Man United, is walking through the door. So it just, you know, elevates everybody and it gives everybody a lift. You know, and it's one of them where, from a Spurs point of view, we needed to do a lot in January, but it was like, January's a difficult window, but it's only difficult if you make it difficult. And if you've not planned and prepped properly, that's when it becomes difficult. Like, you can't tell me that City can spend 180 million in January, Villa can get Asensio and Rashford and also sell John Duran for 50 million and then tell me it's a hard window. So no, like I said, I've been really, really impressed with Villa. They've just got a little bit of everything, I think, in their side. And I think they're obviously, they've got European football, and I think that's fully deserved. I think they, over the last couple of seasons, have almost learned to sort of belong at a European level. Like I say, Emery's just got this Villa team going in a great direction. And I think Villa fans now are hopeful that they can actually do something. Like, they might get a day like Palace had at the weekend. Do you know what I mean? So I think Emery was really harshly treated at Arsenal and stuff like that. So obviously he got left with an absolute shower, to be honest. Like, how on earth is he trying to get a tune out of that team? And I did feel a little bit for him in that sense, but obviously went away, rebuilt and kind of reinvented himself. I think he's got to take a lot of credit for that. The only downside is he doesn't really say good evening anymore, no. which is a real downside. So, you know, you need to get that back, I'm afraid, big man. But no, Villa, been really impressed with them this year.
I think he's saving it. It's when that trophy comes in, and then suddenly he's going to rock it out straight away afterwards, and just the roar that comes up at Wembley that's how he's going to address the crowd on the microphone.
Mate, that level of aura, if he does that, will be off the scale as well. By the way, be off the scale.
It would be pretty impressive. He said they did some fantastic business in January, and I think as what I liked about them, that it showed ambition too. They went, we've got a shot at the, Champions League. We can go far. We think we can go deep in. So rather than just kind of consolidate what we have, let's go for that. Let's say Asensio, Rashford, bang in there. See Duran going kind of was different, and there was talks at one point of Watkins, wasn't there, sort of linked to the Arsenal late, etc. But they did a really good piece of business in there, and they've been a really good side this year. And as you said, established now in that kind of position. They play Man United on the last day. So you might as well just put them in pen, probably, as being a Champions League side the next season. So there's a good possibility there. But they've done fantastically well to get themselves up there. And I'll bring the table back up again just to show some of the other teams. The one I'll come to you on, Rebecca, because they play each other, I think, on the final day, if I'm correct, if I've got the fixtures up correctly. I think so. Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea on the final day, which could well be a shootout. Obviously, Forest need a couple of things, I think, to happen maybe elsewhere, but they can jump Chelsea for sure if they beat them. What a chance for Nottingham Forest. You're guaranteed Europe anyway, which is phenomenal. I think, they had that phenomenal start to the season, fighting in the Champions League places, and still have that kind of shot last day. How big a game is this for Nottingham Forest and for Chelsea?
I mean, I think it would be bigger for Chelsea than it is Forest in terms of what, Chelsea just haven't been where we've expected them to be the past few seasons. I mean, they've still been there and thereabouts, but it's not been the Chelsea that we've seen recent. So I feel as though it's going to be a bit bigger for them to try and make sure that they're still getting Champions League. But then Forest just aren't going to make it easy, because how incredible would it be? They've got Europe, that's already done. But for Forest to be able to say, last season they were facing a points deduction at the bottom of the table to now be sitting in fourth, or fifth, being we've got Champions League this season. I do think it'll be an interesting one. I do really want Forest to do it, but then I've just said that out loud and I'll probably jinx them. So I apologise, Forest, in advance, because that has happened in my playoff predictions for the lower leagues. So apologies to Forest, but hopefully this is a team that I don't end up jinxing. But yeah. I mean, Forest this season have just been incredible. The players that they've been able to sign, and also the ones that they've been able to keep on. I mean, Morgan Gibbs-White has been a standout for them this season. I think he's been phenomenal. The way he plays and the way that he captains that side, he is a really, really solid player for them. And it's Callum Hudson-Odoi as well. Is it him? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why I just had a mini panic, be did he actually? No, but them signing him has been great as well. And I feel as though the team that Forest have, it just works, and the way that they've been playing, it is really fun football to watch.
It is. They've done a superb job, and Simon's just got to give Nuno credit. I didn't think he'd do anywhere near as good as he is. Who knew about Nuno? He did the business. Wes, how have you made? Obviously, Nuno was a former Spurs manager, and it was a very different time, difficult period. How have you been as surprised as everybody else about how that Nuno's got a tune out of Forest?
But listen, Nuno at Spurs was a social experiment. See how much Spurs fans could put up with. Let's just throw that one out there. Let's start with. But no, I think, and put it this way, Tottenham gave Nottingham Forest 50 million quid for Brennan Johnson. They then went and got Anthony Elanga and Hudson-Odoi for 20 million. So they've got 30 million pound change. You'd argue that Hudson-Odoi and Elanga are better wingers than Brennan Johnson. So that kind of says it all in itself. I think not only the job that Nuno's done, but I think give credit where it's due to the owner as well, because obviously when Forest did come up, they signed everyone. Let's be honest, they signed everyone, and he took a lot of stick and he's taken a lot of flack for it. And also when he sacked Steve Cooper, loads of people thought it was really harsh, but he's got that thick skin and just gone, no, I'm going to do it and I'm going to stick to it. And with the sort of greater good of Forest in mind. And I think he's definitely backed Nuno. He's finally, has finally got Milenkovic, who was a defender that he wanted when he was at Tottenham. But he ended up with Romero instead. And I think he's been brilliant. I think his relationship with Murillo, two absolute meatheads at the back. Like anything comes in the box, yeah, bang, head it away, bang, head it away. I think Ryan Yates has been underrated. A player that my dad absolutely loves, by the way, because he just says he's a menace and will just do all the ugly stuff and that kind of thing. And he's my dad has also said Spurs should sign him. Like, Dad, behave. Like we don't need Ryan. He's like, no, seriously. So I just think credit to Nuno. Like, he's good at setting a team up. Obviously, I think his time at Spurs, the players definitely got him the sack because they just weren't having him, and that's player power for you these days. They just weren't having him, and down tools. So the players stunk the place out, and obviously Nuno was the one to get the chop. I don't really think he was ever a fit though for Tottenham, to be honest. It was a strange appointment anyway. So I think like credit to him. He seems to do better with clubs that aren't your fashionable clubs. Obviously, you look at the job he did at Wolves and stuff like that. I know he got given a few quid to spend there. Obviously, Ruben Neves at 18 million in the Championship, bonkers in itself, and stuff like that. But the way he's got this Forest team setting up, they've all bought into it, and credit where it's due. I think obviously the game that we played against them recently turns out to be their only win of recent times. Dr. Tottenham and all that, and I think teams just get caught out by Forest because they just play into their hands. Forest are really comfortable without the ball, and they'll let you try and dominate, and they'll lead you into that false sense of security, and then they'll hit you on the counter attack. And I think that's probably the main difference, I would say, between Nuno's Forest and Nuno's Wolves, because I think Nuno's Wolves were very much, especially that Championship year, they dominated teams. They passed them off the park. I'm not surprised though with Neves in the middle. And obviously they bought Moutinho, who just sat alongside Neves and just tutored him. And them two in the middle were like an absolute joke together, to be fair. How they ended up at a side like Wolves, no disrespect to Wolves, I know a good few Wolves fans, but it's just like, mate, how have you ended up with some of these players here? Credit to Nuno. He's done a good job. It doesn't kind of affect me in the same way when the gaffer Poch was at Chelsea, because he did a bloody good job at Chelsea, did Pochettino, with all that carnage going on, and he kept everything calm. And I think coming into this season, you saw, I think, especially start of the season at Chelsea, what Poch was almost trying and getting towards at Chelsea. I think so that first part of the season was literally just a Poch hangover. Not disregarding Enzo in any sense, in that sense, but it just felt like from the players' point of view, like, right, we've worked in a certain way under Poch, let's just kind of continue it with small tweaks and changing. And I think when Enzo's tried to really stamp his authority on it, that's when you saw Chelsea have the dip in form. I think obviously they've been fortunate this year. They've pretty much had two teams where they can rest the big boys and just play the kids, if you like, or second string in the Conference League. I hope Forest do it, because personally I can't stand Chelsea. So hoping Forest do them over. Hope Chelsea miss out on Champions League. Fingers crossed if Pellegrini can get one over on his old mate Enzo.
This is it, of course, the Conference League final to come with, and they've got to deal with Antony, of course, the hot shot of European football at the moment.
Absolutely.
Who saw that coming? Wouldn't that be wonderful to end the season off? It's going to be an epic end with those two. And so there has been a red card in the Manchester City game. Simon says Kovacic has been sent off, so 147 charges. Just add that to the list, another misdemeanor. But they're still 2-0 up at the minute with 20 minutes to go, so it's still looking like Manchester City are going to be jumping well into those places, which then leaves the other sides that we haven't talked about. Newcastle lost to Arsenal at the weekend 1-0. And who are they facing on the final day, Rebecca? Who could stop Newcastle's dreams, I wonder?
The mighty Everton and Moyes.
The mighty Everton could do the business. And it would seem really weird. I don't know what you think, Rebecca, if Newcastle, this crazy run, this amazing season they had, somehow kind of missed out on the final day in sort of all the craziness, because I think they've been everyone's kind of, I don't know, sort of the credit they've got has been deserved, absolutely kind of been deserved, and everybody's kind of already put them there. I think everyone was like, "Oh, Newcastle just get Champions League now." That's just the belief they kind of everybody has in them. But it has gone down to this kind of final day, etc. Obviously, you don't want them to beat Everton for understandable reasons, them being your club and all. But do you think, Newcastle, would it be a big blow for them not making Champions League now, having had what they've had, or could they still kind of ride that wave if it does end up? But maybe better for them, someone like Newcastle in the Europa League, they would fancy themselves surely to win that competition.
Yeah, I think they do better in Europa. I mean, like we've seen the struggles that they've had in like tiny dips when you can see like the hangover from Champions League, but it's one of them where it's like, I don't want them getting it because then that would mean that we've beat them. So I feel like that's just what I'm going to have to say. But then in saying that, we may have no Jared Branthwaite because he went off injured against Southampton. So big Michael Keane as centre-back, a header, that's what's going to stop them making it.
Isak will be worried. He'll be very, very worried, I'm sure.
Coming up against Michael Keane. He scored the other week as well.
This is true. He's not here to not scoring a goal as well, Michael Keane. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. Wes, if you were to back anybody this weekend, who are you backing? You think is going to get that all important sort of final spot on the final day?
Correct. Because there's 3 places or 2?
There's 3. So we've got Arsenal are settled. So it's Newcastle, Chelsea, Villa, City. Although City are pretty. What's that take? City to 68. So in theory could still be, but then down to Forest. So you're talking 5 into 3.
Yeah, that doesn't go, does it? I think I think City, Villa, Newcastle. And I think if Newcastle don't make Champions League, that will be a slight blow. They've obviously won a trophy for the first time in God knows how long. So they're probably still riding the wave of that. Eddie Howe probably will get a statue at some point, I'm sure, at St James's Park. Like all the Newcastle players are going to get knighted, the lot going on up there. But yeah, I think the credit to Eddie Howe and the job he's done at Newcastle. Obviously took over when they were, battling relegation. The turnaround in a really short space of time has been brilliant, and I think they've steadily just grown and grown as the seasons have gone on with Eddie Howe in charge. I know obviously they've had their issues with PSR, and I think that's probably just halted their progress, obviously with the wealth of their owners, because I think they would have liked to have gone in and just gone, bang, 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 but they haven't really been able to. And I know, again, through watching the Newcastle documentary, they're trying to put in a lot of stuff behind the scenes and get that stuff sorted before they then really go at it in terms of the playing squad. So yeah, I think Newcastle, Villa and City will probably get those 3 Champions League spots on the final day. What order, I don't know, to be honest. It's not my team, so I don't really care. But yeah, I think for those 3 teams, I think on the whole as well this season. All right, City had their massive downfall started by Timo Werner of all people, by the way. He's terrible. I think you can't really look. City's probably more for the quality of their team and their squad. I think they need Champions League to help with their rebuild. I think Newcastle and Villa on the whole this season been largely consistent in terms of the way that they've gone about their business. So I'd probably say those 2. Like I say, as long as it ain't Chelsea, I'll be happy.
It's going to be interesting. At least it gives a bit of something for the final day. There's something going on. Otherwise, I think it would have been sort of a bit of a flat ending for a lot, because there's not a lot of else going on. But the European places are still up to fight. So we'll just round off the last few Premier League games. I'll just sort of read out a couple of results, the ones we didn't talk about. Chelsea beat Manchester United 1-0. Manchester United weren't very good. So no different news there. We'll come on to them in Europa League in a minute. However, Harry Maguire had a goal disallowed, which was correct. However, should be illegal because all Harry Maguire goals should stand. That should be the law in this country. Manchester United went down by 1-0. Nottingham Forest beating West Ham 2-1 to keep their hopes very much alive. And a really good result for Fulham at Brentford. Brentford been on an absolute tear and had that in the bag. And Fulham with a late turnaround comeback. So a fantastic 3-2 victory there at Brentford. Another team that had a very good season in Fulham. Leicester beat Ipswich. Jamie Vardy got, was it his 200th? He reached his target finally in that massive battle down the bottom. Leicester now unbeaten in 3 on a bit of a run, on a bit of a form. It's a bit late, but it's a bit of form at last. It's a bit of form. Arsenal beat Newcastle 1-0, as we said. And yesterday, Brighton capped off with a fantastic 3-2 victory over Liverpool, which in any other kind of weeks would probably get quite a lot of attention. But with Liverpool already kind of won the title. But for Brighton, that's a fantastic win. And they really put some great performances together towards the end of the season as well. So they are finishing strong. And Palace, Wolves, Man City, Bournemouth, of course, still going on. So there we go. But there is a tournament coming up that concludes tomorrow. This time tomorrow evening, myself and Wes will be very tense, very who knows by this time, because we'll be well into the game. But yes, it is, of course, the Europa League final. It is Tottenham versus Manchester United. It is 16th versus 17th in the Premier League. It is one of the most, I think, bizarre, unique finals that we've had. And I think if there's any match I think that is unpredictable, this probably is it, because of the two teams that we have in there. So I think, first off, Wes, we'll just talk generally about how Tottenham got there, and are you surprised to be there?
How did we get there? As the song goes, I don't know how, is the honest answer, mate. I think we've had 25 defeats across all competitions this year. Actually, 21 in the league, probably likely to be 22 on Sunday against Brighton, because no one will really care, to be honest, about that game. Yeah, it's been a really interesting season for Spurs. The Europa League has given, I think, the players, the fans, a nice distraction and a little bit of respite from the treacherous league form. We have struggled massively to cope with Thursday, Sunday. I know we've had up to sort of 12 players out across sort of 3-4 months of the season, playing kids out of position. I think we had to get the Go Compare Man and Adele, I think, to play for us. That's how desperate we were. Literally having to field kids who I don't even know if they're probably even good enough to play for Tottenham, but needs must in certain games. So yeah, it's been a bonkers season, but there's just been these little moments of hope, and that's come in the form of the Europa League. I think the Frankfurt 2 legs was huge, because that was probably one of our biggest tests in the Europa League, especially in the knockout phase. And I think to come through that in the way and in the manner that we did, it was absolutely brilliant. We showed a different side to us as a team, especially in that away leg of right, we've got a goal. We're not going to go gung-ho and chasing it. We're just going to manage the game. And I think Spurs haven't done that, period, this season. We don't manage games well at all. So the fact that we managed to do that away at Frankfurt, like I say, it was probably our toughest assignment in the Europa League, given the way that they'd been going in the league as well at that time, was just fantastic. The Bodo Glimt games were a bit nervous in terms of the feeling initially, but I think to get the goal so early in the way that we did just settled everybody down. But then they scored fairly late on, and it was like, oh, okay, we know what their home record's like, but again, managed that situation in that game really well. And yeah, we've somehow just fluked our way into a final. So yeah, I think everybody kind of talks about, your run, your semi-final is probably the easiest one, but it's not our fault. Realistically, it's not our fault. You can only play against what's put in front of you. We had AZ Alkmaar in the knockouts, who we'd already played in the league phase, so we knew what they were about. Like I say, the Frankfurt, that was huge. That was really huge, because we went a goal down as well at home, and it was like, right, let's see what the mentality of this team is like, because usually when we go a goal down, we fold like a pack of cards. I don't know any Spurs fan that's been confident to kind of go, okay, we've gone a goal down, but we can still turn this round. It's almost like we're going a goal down, and it's like, right, well, this could be 2, 3, or 4, or 6 in the case of when we played Liverpool at home. Obviously, that bonkers game 6-3, or the 5-1 or whatever it was at Anfield type of thing. So yeah, we've somehow fluked it. But listen, we're there. We're in Bilbao. and let's hope we can get the job done tomorrow.
This is it. It's been a crazy run, I think, so for both teams to make it. And so I will just say, because Simon says it shows how rubbish the rest of the teams in Europa League have been if you're not in Spurs marathon. I think, to be fair, I think it's been more of a case, I think, that they both performed better in that competition rather than I think that the rest of the teams have been rubbish. I mean, as you said, the Tottenham to get past Frankfurt, that was the one I looked at and went, oh, I think that's a tough one. Frankfurt, a proper outfit, done really well in the Bundesliga, really glowing. Glasner was obviously there before, and they won the Europa League before with the Champions League teams in it, so proper outfit. And Manchester United beat Athletic Club, a top four in La Liga, and put on a really strong performance over there, even before kind of the whole sort of sending off and the rest of it. So I think that's a bit harsh. I mean, I can understand they've been rubbish generally in the Premier League, and I think that's completely fair. But I think in the Europa League, both have kind of risen. I think that's what makes this final really intriguing, because both of us have been suited better to Europe. However, it's not kind of a European game because it's two English teams, and you've got two English teams that know each other sort of very well. How are you feeling on there? Because I think if I look at it from United's perspective, you're trying to lean into, I suppose, the history, the players that can step up in big moments. Where for Tottenham, probably looking at going, well, the record against Manchester United has been really good, not just this season, past few. Is that what you're kind of looking at going? Well, the matchup's been good recently.
Yeah, I was glad, so to speak, that we got Man United as opposed to Athletic Bilbao, because I think with it being at Bilbao's home stadium, with having that added pressure, like the home stadium, that home crowd, almost it would have been like 12 versus almost 10, if you like. I know it's obviously 11v11, but that extra motivation from their players' point of view, like to win it in their home stadium with their home fans, I think as a group of players would have probably folded under that pressure. But I'm kind of glad it's United, because we know what United are about. United know what Spurs are about. United are probably in the similar way of, we're glad it's Tottenham because it's Tottenham, type of thing. Whereas we're kind of like, it's United. We've beaten them, 3 times already this year, and just unbeaten against Man United in general. And yeah, I think I've seen a couple of videos that have come out on social media the last couple of days, and it's just hooked me. I'm sucked right back in, and I'm like, yeah, get me to tomorrow, like already, like I want to be there. And so yeah, that's kind of the feeling that I've got. And I think most Spurs fans are like, it's our time. Like we deserve. I don't buy into this notion that we should deserve to win trophies like near enough every year, because put it this way, like I'm nearly 30 and I've seen us win 2 League Cups. So the fact that we deserve a trophy is a myth, because we don't notoriously win. Whereas obviously there are other clubs like United, Chelsea have got a history of winning, Liverpool have got a history of winning, and that sort of culture. And I don't think Spurs have built an infrastructure to win. They haven't built a football team to win, which has been the massive difference, I think, compared to the other sort of more big 6 clubs, if you like. I know obviously this year it's like could be the year of the bird and all that kind of stuff in terms of the trophy wins, etc. But yeah, I think I'm going into it fairly nervous, but also quietly confident, because it's Man United, and we know what they're about, what they can do, what threats they can pose. Obviously, I was at the home games this year, so the league game and the League Cup game, and I'm looking at it, especially that League Cup game. And if I was thinking to myself, if I'm Bruno Fernandes, I need to get on the phone to my agent like ASAP. Get me out of here, because what he has got around him is absolutely atrocious. I don't know how he goes into work and goes, yeah, I want to be here. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like the players are just average. Like, man, it sounds really strange, but I don't look at United players and go, yeah, I'll take him. I'll have him. Whereas in years gone by, it was 1 to however big the squad was that you go, yeah, we'll take all of them at Man United. Whereas now it's like, well, I'll have Bruno. Now I'm sort of struggling, because yeah, players just I think have folded and really gone into themselves under that pressure of playing for Man United, and being at arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is it. Bruno has been unbelievable when you compare him to the rest of the United squad, and where it could be without Bruno this season is scary. And I think to an extent, from a So the United fans had to defend Bruno a number of times on the podcast over the last few years from various people. It's nice to see at least he's getting the kind of recognition for the kind of numbers he's putting up. You know, I understand the petulance, the complaining. People don't like Bruno, but I can understand those elements. But I think in terms of him as a player and what he's done, it just shows. And as you said, around him, it's just not not enough there. There's just such a lack of quality, and you can see it and this is why when it's hard to break United down when you look at what's wrong, etc., Amorim, all of this, because there's so much in that melting pot, and what he's working with, and sometimes you're just looking at them going, they can't play a 5-yard pass to the right foot of the player they're playing it to. You can't work with that. You can't, no tactic in the world is going to help you if that's kind of what you're getting on a consistent basis. But then they have these moments, and they've done it this season, and particularly in big games. At Anfield, they played probably one of their best games of the season, beat Manchester City. And then in Europe, it's been a different, and still have this suicidal 20 minutes. I think that's the thing. Both Man United and Tottenham have the ability to throw things away like nobody else. But the Lyon game could have been completely different and was completely different because in the back pocket and then chaos and then more chaos the other way. And I think if it's anything like that League Cup game, we could be in for one of the most chaotic finals you've ever seen because that was utterly bonkers. And I do get the feeling it's going to go one of two ways. I think there'll be a cagey start, but if there's an early goal, we could see chaos. I think that's it'd be one of those two things. I think, and yeah, Simon again. Yeah, the Bruno needs to cut the whinging out, etc. They love to give him the bash, but to be honest, I'm not surprised as he whinges. Look at what's around him. He does a bit more. To be fair, but it's going to be a phenomenal final. How do you see the game itself playing out, and what sort of lineup are you expecting? Because obviously Kulusevski's out, Sarr's pulled up, I think, injured as well this week. What's the big decisions Ange has got in the lineup?
I did offer myself to Ange just in case. Maybe I'm starting midfield berth, but he didn't get back to me, unfortunately. I think we'll probably see arguably a conventional Spurs side. I think there was, obviously Bergvall travelled, so there was rumours that, is he fit to play? I think Ange confirmed today that he's unfortunately not. Maddison has travelled, but I don't think he's fit. No Kulusevski, so we could be in for a bit of a long one because we don't really have anybody else that's a creative sort of spark within our midfield. So it's going to be very workmanlike within our midfield. I think our more conventional back five, so it would probably be like Vicario in net, the standard back four, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie. Midfield, it'll have to be Bentancur and Basuma. I think Sarr will probably play. I think he'll be all right. And then for me, I personally would go with Odegaard, Solanke and Matthias Tell as a front three. I don't think Johnson offers enough during the game, yet he's our top goal scorer. Yeah, I've worked that out. Like someone said this to me on another podcast that I'm on the other week about Brennan Johnson. It's like, yeah, but he scored 16 goals. I mean, like, yeah, but watch Brennan Johnson with your eyes. You can stat pad all you like, but watch Brennan Johnson with your eyes and you will see that he is so ineffective as a winger. It's outrageous. So there's that side of things. For me, Tell offers more and is probably better suited to that left-hand side role in terms of what Ange wants from those wide players than Son. I think Son's finished, to be honest. I've said it all season. I think he's past it. He doesn't look anywhere near the player that we all sort of know and love as a Spurs fan base. I think Solanke is going to be huge for us just in terms of what he gives us off the ball. His work rate is phenomenal. He's a player that you need to go and see live to appreciate what he does for Tottenham. He puts up with a lot, feeds off scraps majority of the time, but does a lot of unselfish work. I think in terms of how I see the game going, I said this to somebody earlier, if whoever scores the first goal for me wins the game. And I know that's a bit of a cliche, but I think if we score first, I'd like to think we'll put in a more defensive type of performance like we did against Bodo Glimt and Frankfurt. If United score, I think they've won it because I just can't see us getting back into the game. But I think for me as a Spurs fan, I just want to see us give a good account of ourselves in a final for once in our lives. because the last few finals that we've been in, we have not turned up like at all. So if we sort of turn up, give a good account of ourselves, and at least sort of have a go, I think that's all you can really sort of ask for when it comes to like any big game and any final. But yeah, I think it's going to be, like you said, Sam, a bit cagey affair. I think the first 10, 15 minutes, both teams will probably figure themselves out. I think if United, I don't even think Amarin Eriksson as a midfield two, like, yeah.
Never ever.
Good luck.
Ever want to see that again.
Good luck, because the pair of them can't move. Like, Eriksson's legs have gone, and Casemiro can't cover the ground in the same way that he could for Real Madrid because his legs are gone. So yeah, I'll be, once those team sheets come in, I'll either be like, yeah, we're winning this, or this is going to be long. This is going to be a long evening. Like I say, if Casemiro and Eriksson start in midfield, oh mate, give us the trophy now. Like, genuinely.
Yeah, I'll be turning it off if I see that midfield starting. I mean, United from a lineup perspective is going to be interesting, because there's a number of them have travelled. A lot of them that look like they were going to kind of be ruled out as well. So there's a number of names coming back. I think there's only really Martinez who's on the long term. Even De Ligt's gone. I think De Ligt was still doing some stuff off pitch, and whether he'll feature, I don't know. But according to Amarim, Yoro's back fit. Xerxes back fit, which was a surprise. He wasn't kind of expected to be there. Xerxes gone as well, and apparently he's fitting in the squad. I'd imagine he's not going to start, but could be an option late on to do something different. I'd imagine he goes. The concern for me, like Casemiro and Ugarte gives you kind of the legs around it, but we've struggled to kind of get out if you push us a little bit. In previous games, we've had trouble with that. You don't want Casemiro on the half turn because we give the ball away, and Ugarte was very nervous in the last couple of games I've seen him. He's been a bit. Mainu would make kind of sense to a point, but he's not really like favoured him or fancied him in that role. So the midfield is going to be really interesting for me how he kind of sets that up. And then there's big decisions. I imagine the back three is probably going to be, you're going to have Maguire. I think Mazraoui will probably be there. Even Dallow's travelled. Dallow was another one expected not to be out. So all of these players that we've kind of disregarded have suddenly come back in the mix, and now you kind of live this melting pot of it could be kind of anything. And there's a couple that you're sure about. So the sad thing is, the only surety is that Højlund's going to be up front, and I don't think that's not the one, to be honest, that we need any sight of whatsoever. So just keep it tight until Harry Maguire can go up front with 15 minutes to go. That looks to be the best tactic potentially from an attacking perspective. But Rebecca, I'll let you have your say, because you're obviously the neutral in this, and I suppose you're just hoping for bonkers, crazy chaos and something enjoyable, aren't you?
Yeah, I did thought that I'd be missing this match because there's a Scottish Prem relegation playoff, but that's on Thursday, so I'm able to watch it. I'll be honest, this is one of them matches where I don't really want either team to win. Like, it's just one of them where it's like, if someone has to, I'd have to say Tottenham, purely just because I still love Richarlison, and if you could let him come back home, we'd really appreciate that.
I'll drop him off.
But no, as long as there's something interesting, because one of these sort of matches can either have 0-0 written all over it, and then extra time, still 0-0, and a few odd penalties. I think that's the best way to describe penalties nowadays. But it's one of them, it could go either way, where, like Wesley said, I feel like whoever scores first is going to win it, and it's just going to be one of them where both teams are going to be set up in that way. We've seen what you both can do in the league. It, like, form goes out the window when it's a cup final, and I think that is one thing people need to look at when looking at this match, because it does. I think, like, when I've been speaking to some of my friends, they've just been saying it's got like snooze fest written all over it because of the form. But when you think of it, it's a final, form out the window. Both teams are going to be at this, so challenges could be flying in, and it could actually be quite a feisty one. I'm hoping. I do really hope, because it can be a good match, this one, because, like, silverware's up for grabs, and it could be like a big one for Tottenham, like first one in a while. Sorry for saying that, but it is. So it's one of them where it's like, it is significant for both sides, because this is going to be like what makes or breaks the season, especially with, like, I'm not trying to put a dig in, but with where you are in the table, it does then see, like, you're finishing 16th, like 15th, but you're still getting Europe at the end of it. So it's one of them, it's like there is a lot resting on it. So I do feel as though it is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's become almost, I think, for both sides, the unthinkable to lose game because of the sort of ramifications. I know from the Manchester United side, the Champions League is the thing, the money, the finances that comes with it. It's massive to the step that they need to take next. There's obviously a lot of transfer business. I think that is kind of that they seem to be moving quickly on deals such as like Cunha seems to be the personal deals agreed with him. They're talking already to Liam Delap. There's a few clubs involved there. There's things starting to happen, but then the longer term kind of plan does really decide, I think, on the Champions League because for both sides, it's no Europe full stop next season if it doesn't happen. And then I think whoever wins can kind of brush the league away a little bit in terms of the form, and that's how it will get spun. But I think the one that loses, it's just going to be an absolute shitstorm for weeks. That's going to be a case of turn the laptop and everything off until August, and then come back again for whoever doesn't win this final because it's not going to be worth going anywhere near social media. I've got absolutely no qualities about that at all. But it's going to be an interesting one. So we have to do predictions. We'll have to go around the table. Go on then, Wes. How's it? If you had to put it on, how's it going?
It's the first time I've been asked for a prediction for this game. I'll go 2-1 Spurs. Go on.
2-1 to Spurs.
There's going to be goals. There's like United Spurs. There's always goals in United Spurs game. I don't think I've ever really come across a 0-0 with United or Spurs. So, but yeah, I'll go 2-1 Spurs.
Goals to come. Rebecca, how about you?
See, what I want to say and what I'm going to say is completely different. I want to say like, it's going to be like a 6-5. It's going to be like 3 red cards. It'll be
12 all. Game of a lifetime.
Like Harry Maguire scores a hat-trick. Like, you just don't know. I think it'll be 3-2 to Tottenham, but it'll go into extra time. And if he's playing, Richarlison scores the winner.
There we go. We've got a mix. We've got a mix of fans in the chat. So Simon wants Spurs to win because of the James Maddison Coventry link. Evo Blog says 3-1 to Spurs. Graham says 3-2 United after extra time. I think I've got the problem that I think like you've had as well, Wes. I saw that Tottenham had posted a video and it was about the same time Manchester United did the compilation start. And the problem is you watch that and you go, well, yeah, of course we're going to win it. Look at that. Look at all this history. Look at the dramatic music. How can we not? And it puts you in a different frame of mind. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with the bonkers theory. I think it'll be 2-2 after normal time, a late Harry Maguire equaliser. I think it will be 3-3 after extra time, a late Mason Mount equaliser, and then we're going to go through the ringer, Wes. It's going to be the whole evening, I think, and it's going to be an epic penalty shootout, and then it's a lottery. And I'll have to say United, but do I fancy Onana if it gets that far? I'm not sure I do. So let's wait and see. But it's going to be an occasion nonetheless, and an epic thing for everybody to see. But what has been epic has been the joy of talking football with you two and everybody in the chat this evening. It's been absolutely fantastic to run through FA Cup, Premier League, Europa League. We've done it all, but we're not done. Rebecca was worried for a minute. She thought for a minute I was going to walk away.
I was like, I've not sat here for like over an hour writing these notes out for it not to be done.
How dare you not even allow me to have one moment on Dundee? So, of course, we have Rebecca with her Scottish match report because it's all going on in Scotland. Rebecca, take it away.
Yeah, so it was a double match week to round off the Scottish Prem. So there is a lot, I do warn you, there's 2 pages of notes here. There's a lot of matches. So Celtic continued their very positive run of form with a 5-1 win against Aberdeen. Hibs kept their European hopes alive after securing a 2-2 draw with St Mirren. It was a frustrating match for Hibs. They were winning 2-0. They drew 2-2, so a win would have left them within Europe heading into the last match of the season, but this one still meant that it was all to play for. Dundee United suffered defeat in their hunt for Europe against Rangers. United took the lead 20 minutes in, but only took Rangers 5 minutes to equalise, and then it just went on from there. with Cyril Dessers scoring twice, adding to his goal tally, which then did take him above Simon Murray in the standings for the leading goal scorer. So that did annoy me a bit, but it is what it is with that one. Hearts secured a 2-1 win against St Johnstone. This did see St Johnstone relegated from the Scottish Prem. It has been a very difficult season for them. It's not been working on the pitch, and I do really hope that they're able to regroup and come back, because they are a strong side, but it wasn't their season. Motherwell secured a 3-0 win against Kilmarnock with Luke Armstrong's double and Callum Slattery on the score sheet. That did see Motherwell safe and away from all of the drama at the bottom of the table. And then it came to a very controversial last-minute penalty for Ross County in their match against Dundee. So this did see the battle for the relegation playoff spot go to the last match of the season, which is something that I think every Dundee fan wanted to avoid. It's coming. So this was a huge match for both teams. I did spend majority of my day on holiday trying to find a pub that would show the match. We just went into everyone with a Scottish flag outside, but they were showing Rangers and Dundee United and the Hearts match instead. So I was able to watch it. I paid the £13.99 to Dundee to be able to watch this match on holiday. So Dundee did take the lead in the second half through substitute Scott Tiffany, and it was a lovely goal. Very, very well worked. So sat there relaxing, thinking, we've done it. We're fine. We're safe in the Prem for another season. 96th minute comes around. Whistle goes. Points to the penalty spot. No Ross County player was yelling for a penalty. It just came out of nowhere. And I still think the whole of Scotland and Dundee fans are confused over this because it was not a penalty. They've said it was handball. His hand is up, but it comes off Ryan Astley's head. It doesn't come off a hand. I don't know how it's been given as handball. It's not obvious. There's nothing. And this is what it comes to. Even Dundee United fans are saying it's not a penalty. Dundee and Dundee United do not get on. So if even they're saying it's not a penalty, then clearly there is something up. But it did mean that there was more pressure on the last match of the season. So, turn my page over.
To be continued, part 2.
Yeah, now we are on to Saturday. So this is the last matches for the top 6. So the teams that are fighting for Europe and trying to add to their hopes for the season. So a 2-1 win for Dundee United against Aberdeen sees United secure Europe in their first season back in the Prem. I do just want to say and wish Jack McKenzie a very speedy recovery. I don't know if anyone has seen it. He was struck in the face by a chair, which seems to have been thrown from the Aberdeen fans at United. So he has suffered a very serious facial injury, so would like to wish him a very, very speedy recovery. And hopefully the person that has done this, there is prosecutions, because why on earth you're throwing a chair on the pitch just baffles me. But also, how's he got the chair off? That's also the question that I have. But yeah, speedy recovery to him. Hibs came from behind twice against Rangers to get a 2-2 draw, and they also secured a European spot. Cyril Dessers found himself on the score sheet, and he was also crowned the league's leading goal scorer. So huge congratulations to him. Celtic finished their season with a 94th minute equaliser against St Mirren, just to add to the drama of the weekend. So they finished the season on. They would have preferred a win, but they won the league. Huge congratulations to ex-Dundee player Luke McCowan on his first season at Celtic being crowned champion. So now onto the bottom 6 of the table and Sunday, where it all seemed to happen. Hearts ended their season with a 1-0 win against Kilmarnock. Ross County find themselves in the relegation playoff spot. They did take the lead against Motherwell. Motherwell drew, but it was within a few minutes of Dundee taking the lead that Ross County did. So it was one of them. They were both matching each other, but it was just it was in Dundee's hands. They just needed to match whatever happened, and they did, and it all worked out. But yeah, so Ross County are playing Livingston on Thursday to see which team will end up in the Prem, which will be very exciting. I do hope it's Livingston, no offence to Ross County, but they do have an ex-Accrington player in their team, so to see him in the Prem would be really good. And then Dundee, they secured a 2-0 win against an already relegated St Johnstone. Heading into it, did think this could go either way. St Johnstone have nothing to play for, they're already relegated, but they are at home. They'll want to have like a good send-off like with the fans. But Lyle Cameron rounded off his time at Dundee before he's moved to Rangers, which was announced in January, with 2 goals. It was even better because it was a clean sheet, which also meant a clean sheet for Ryan Astley. So, of course, very happy for me. Simon Murray finished the season as the league's joint second leading goal scorer. To say where Dundee finished, for him to be up there as one of the leading goal scorers was incredible for him. He was also Players' Player of the Season and Player of the Season, so it was massively deserved. He has been the main man this season and hopefully the same again next season. Adewumi, who was on loan from Burnley, was also voted the Young Player of the Season, so huge congratulations to him. He now has returned to Burnley, which is quite sad, but he has been incredible and we'll see what happens with him. So yeah, that is the Scottish Prem. So we have seen St Johnstone relegated. We wait to see what happens with Livingston and Ross County. I think that is a 2-leg one, so it's all to play for. But yeah, we will have a whole other season of Scottish Prem because Dundee is still there.
Dundee's still there. We can confirm Dundee remain in the Scottish Prem, and we will continue with Rebecca's Scottish roundups next season. And I'm sure she'll be keeping us surprised at transfers and all sorts of Dundee jazz over the summer. But yeah, very good, Rebecca. Well done, covering everything in Scotland. And welcome to Chris. You've joined us at the end. Thanks for coming. But
he's had a shocker.
Exactly. He's coming in injury time, but we know he's working now. It's tough but do not worry. You know, Chris, it's all available on YouTube. And just rewind it, go back to the start when we're done, and just chat about. And you know, Rebecca's Scottish Roundup could be in 2 hours' time for you to listen to as well. You could go through it all over again. Graham is giving you Muck with Rebecca, as he calls you, for your Scottish Roundup. But there we are. We've come to the end of the show.
I'll need to make sure I have my Dundee bucket hat ready for the next one. First one of the season, I'll make sure I have it, but it's in the wash from holiday.
The Dundee, there you go. You've got a bit of time till August or late July. I can never remember. Scotland always start sometimes a bit earlier, don't they? But they do things whenever they want to do it in Scotland. They do the league table however they want to do it. It's all different. But thank you everybody for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have everybody here and to chat to everybody. And of course, Rebecca, if anybody wants more of Rebecca, wants more Dundee, wants more Accrington, wants more Everton, wants just more Rebecca, where can everybody find you?
You can find my personal Twitter and TikTok at _Rebecca_shot_. You can find all of my Her Game 2 content at ASFC Her Game 2, and it is very exciting over the summer with plans going ahead, everything being finalised. So keep a lookout for announcements and really exciting things for the upcoming season.
Okay, fantastic. Check Rebecca. And Wes, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Good laugh, and thanks so much for coming and talking everything Premier League, FA Cup, Europa League, etc. Where can everybody find more of you and follow what you're doing?
Yes, thank you for having me. It has been a long one, but it's been an enjoyable one, that is for sure. Twitter is at Wezo10, the unofficial Moussa Dembele fan account, as everybody knows. Usually tweeting things about the best Belgian to ever grace Premier League shores. Kevin De Bruyne said he was the best player he's ever played with, amongst most of the Spurs team as well. So yeah, Twitter's at Wezo10. Instagram's at Wezo32, usually at a Spurs game or a home game, most certainly. I am at the live screening for the game tomorrow. Obviously, I'm not in Bilbao, partly the reason I'm also on here. But yeah, I'm going to the live screening at the game tomorrow. So if anybody does recognise me from other bits and pieces that I do, feel free to come and say hello. I'm not a monster. I will say hello back. Yeah, and then anything football coaching related, I run my own football coaching business in Milton Keynes. So that's Dele Alli, Leah Williamson, and Kevin Danso Country, for anyone that doesn't know where that is. So it's Kickoff Football Academy or at Co4MK across your socials for that. And then usually on with Holly Agenbar on the Hotspur Huddle on a Wednesday. Obviously, we won't be doing a show tomorrow because it's Europa League final day. And then also on the Park Lane podcast as well, most Sundays, 7 p.m. So yeah, I am kind of here, there and everywhere. But yeah, search my name. You'll find me somewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, that's a wrap from me.
There we are. Fantastic. Go and check Wes out everywhere. And as Graham says, this is a short one for us compared to some of the other shows. Yeah, the women's show literally can be going on 2.5, 3 hours sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, come on, guys, I've got to upload the audio. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Come on, let's wrap this up about now. And you can find me.
Thursday as well, weren't it?
It was. We used to have the EFL and National League shows together, and 6 divisions at this time of season was an absolute nightmare. So we now have that split. So it's a little bit more sensible on the timing. But you can catch me at Sam Absolute FBL on Twitter, TikTok, other stuff. Do check out yesterday as well. I was on the 4th official podcast talking Europa League final with those guys over there. That's predominantly a Rangers podcast, but they do sort of other shows and things out there. So check them guys out on YouTube. That video's up, I think, as of today. And of course, you can find us, the wonderful, wonderful Absolute Football Podcast, if I can find the correct social and it comes up on the screen. There it is. It's arrived. We are the Absolute Football Podcast. We are 4 shows a week. We did win Best New Content Creator at the Football Content Awards, if you're not familiar with us. So we're very proud of that. And just bringing more and more football content all the time, it seems. There's so much more to cover. One day, maybe Rebecca will have her own Scottish show. Absolutely Rebecca show. Could happen. But we are Mondays, the absolutely non-league show with Shah and the team there. Playoffs, of course, and all that excitement. Tuesdays with us here, Premier League show. Absolutely women's football is on a Wednesday with Freya and the team there talking about women's FA Cup final tomorrow. And on Thursday with Shah and the Rowdy Rabble. Absolutely lower league show, EFL playoffs, etc. Lots of that going on. So we are there. We are at 8:30 on each of those days on Twitter, Absolute Ball Pod, YouTube and Twitch, Absolute Football Podcast, TikTok, Absolute Football Pod, Instagram, Absolute Football Gods _, Blue Sky, Absolute Football, and on Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. If you just type us in, you'll find us. We're places. And as Aled says, we are a football chat podcast, but love to divert to other conversations like where is Claire and Danish pastries. But there we go. Is there any better way to spend your evenings than that kind of nonsense? But for now, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy the football. Think of Wes and I sweating buckets tomorrow evening. And we'll see how it all pans out. Take care, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.
Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you